My amplified unit, salute. How you doing, huh? It's time to wake up, get up, and get amplified. We got a packed show coming up. We're going to talk FTR. Not too happy with AEW at the moment. In fact, it's Dax more than anything. Dax Harwood usually tells you exactly how he's feeling, and he feels like he was slighted. He feels like he was snubbed by Tony Khan and the folks at AEW. And in return, you know how some of the AEW audience, that you do not talk about Tony Khan, so then they kind of got upset with Dax for some reason. So then Dax had to tell everyone, relax. He's never been happier. He's just standing up for himself. And this all of this started from some bullshit awards from some jabronis with 140 characters or some shit. Now, usually these, for a while people took these bullshit awards seriously. I think the past several years, I think the wrestling community pretty much realizes what it is. It's bullshit. And it's more something to laugh at than anything else. But these wrestlers, they still do feel slighted when you see how some of these lists, some of the winners on these lists, some of how these lists came together, it just doesn't make sense. It's so batshit befuddling that you can't help but question it, even though you should just shut it, laugh at it, and move on. These wrestlers are like, what the fuck? But it's not even the list itself that got FTR pissed off. It was being slighted by their own boss, Tony Khan. And we're going to go over, and they actually were. Like, this was not a mistake. This was, like, intentional. We'll talk all about it coming up. And I'll show you how intentional, actually. You guys are going to be you guys are going to be floored when you see what AEW put out. And how they literally just didn't acknowledge FTR at all when they were literally a part of one of the awards. I can't even say that with a straight face. But we're going to get to that, man. And why Dax is now telling everyone to relax. He's never been happier. But in reality, he's really thinking, is it April yet? We're going to talk all about it. We're also going to talk the SmackDown rating. Were you guys shocked at this week's rating or not too surprised at all? What am I even talking about? We're going to talk about SmackDown's rating for this week coming up in this very vidcast. And I want to start off with Bayley. A really good interview with Ariel Helwani. He's been knocking it out of the park with all of these interviews as of late. Bayley was the latest one, and Bayley just dropped so many nuggets of information, so many seeds to be planted, and they can grow into something so special. What am I talking about? 4 different areas, right? This was about 20 some odd minutes of an interview, and we got so much insight to Bayley's damage control, her version of it, where she sees it going, and how many people she wants in it. So let's start with there. You have 5 individuals that Bayley sees damage control consisting of. 5, when asked what is her perfect number. She's currently at 3, obviously, with Io and Dakota. When asked if she has 2 people in mind, she says, oh yeah, no hesitation. At first, when saying, who would the 2 people go? She goes, ooh, that's tough. I don't want to say it right now. But then Ariel backed it up with, but do you have 2 people in mind? And Bayley said, oh yeah, for sure. And Ariel said, well, have you pitched it yet? And Bayley's like, well, not fully yet. So it's been talked about clearly, but it's not fully pitched because you can kind of tell Bayley doesn't want to put any more baggage onto 3H's or anybody until after WrestleMania. But that gives you insight, the fact that she's already playing around with 2 more individuals. Now, you got to believe that's NXT talent. So who are you playing with, right? Would an Indy Hartwell fit good there? Would you have... Well, she's not done in NXT, and she's injured anyway, but would a Nikita Lyons be something that could work in a damage control? Would a Zoe Stark fit in good there? Would it be... Would it be somebody like an Alba Fire or a JCJ and JR now? Who the fuck knows? Would it be somebody on the main roster, two individuals like a Nikki Cross and a Candice LeRae? Would they fit in Damage Control? Would it be believable, and would it work for the group? But it raised all of these exciting possibilities. You know, I always said Damage Control needs to be a legit faction. Fuck a trio. I can't stand trios of anything. If you're going to be a group, 4, 5 at least, bro. I'm not saying you got to be NWO and have 47 individuals, but you could be like a DX and have 5 or 6. I always thought that Damage Control could use a couple more individuals, and then you let them rock. You literally let them just expand everybody's expectations, whether they originally thought they could be something or not. You make everybody a believer by just badass booking and believing in them. And then they just absolutely take over the women's division. And if done correctly, it's 2 birds, 1 stone here. You take over the women's division, and if done properly, you build the women's division at the same time. It's like the NWO. A lot of people, a lot of big faces were created because of that NWO. People that either were built up within the NWO, already built up, but built up in the faction, and then they either got turned on or they walked away because they saw that it was the evil had to be overcome by the good. So you get people that defect, and now they become an ultra face. Or people like Sting or a Goldberg, where you have this huge evil faction and this one superhero. And it created ultimate television, man. You had to tune in every week. You didn't just want to, you had to. You know, if you're building the women's division up, you do it with an ultimate heel faction. You do it with such an obstacle that the face seemingly cannot overcome the odds or the obstacles. And that makes it intriguing. In the process that you have this ultimate heel group dominating the division, you're going to have 1, 2, maybe 3 superheroes forming at the same time. Everybody wins. So my point is, man, it was so cool to hear her say that she always envisioned 5 individuals. She has 2 in mind right now, and she's even talked about it. Not hardcore pitching yet, but 2 individuals more, and I think that's good. Now you say, well, see, it's not working with 3. They should just dismantle it, cut their losses. That's one way to go about it. But if you're telling me that they're finally going to get behind Damage Control and make them something, because Io, Dakota, and Bayley on their own are 3 super amazing talents. They really are. Just really good wrestlers. Io, one of the best in the world. Bayley, you could put her right in that fucking category, or if not, it's not too far below. And Dakota is just really good. You put them all together, you have a super faction. They just haven't been booked as such. You put 2 more individuals in there, and you really give them the proper time, care, and effort, and you put it all into their booking, and you believe in them, and you let them rock, bro, Damage Control could be something uber special still. They're not gone yet, right? It's not. They're still a fucking pulse with Damage Control. You just got to believe in it, but more importantly, WWE has to believe in them. So anyway, that was such a cool piece of information there, knowing that Bayley wants 5, has a couple of people in mind, and there's going to be discussion on that. You know, so it's not just going to be this trio group. Maybe at WrestleMania, man. Maybe something comes from this interview. And H finally realizes, yeah, we can do a lot more with this group. It can be more. We should add a couple more and make them a real group. But Bayley deserves so much more. And she was asked, there were so many awesome points in this interview. Another point, she was asked, you know, what do you think your WrestleMania plans are? Or in your perfect scenario, what would your perfect WrestleMania consist of? And Bayley was like, well, I always wanted that match, that moment with Alita. And then she thinks a little longer, and you think she's going to say Trish. But she hesitates, and she doesn't. She says, and Sasha Banks. She's already had the Mania moment with Sasha Banks, obviously, or NXT, I should say. WrestleMania, they got the championships together or whatnot, but she wants the Sasha Banks match. She wants the Lita match. She left out Trish, and her and Sasha have said so many times how they would love that dream match at like a WrestleMania. Isn't it odd that we're hearing that Trish Stratus is supposed to be a big part of WrestleMania? Supposed to be. There was 2 separate times that Trish was supposedly backstage. One was in New York, and again recently in Canada, and no appearance. We think tonight, Monday Night Raw, there's a huge chance that she's going to show up. We're hearing that Ronda Rousey is on Monday Night Raw tonight, or at least on the Raw brand. I don't think that would be a dark match. And she's been talking a lot of shit with Bayley. Ronda Rousey and Bayley have been going back and forth, supposedly on social. So Bayley... You could go the route with Ronda and Shayna for tag titles with Dakota and Io. That would still leave Bayley with what? Trish Stratus? Or is Lita and Becky not going to be together for Mania? So it would just be Dakota and Io taking on Ronda and Shayna. Heels versus heels when nobody's truly over on the main roster right now because nobody's been booked properly. That doesn't make sense. So then you'd split Lita, and then would you get Lita and Bayley, I guess? I don't think they would go Becky and Bayley again. I think Trish Stratus is still somehow going to be a big part of WrestleMania, and that would be a big indication when Bayley purposely did not add Trish Stratus to those dream matches because she's always talked about that in the past. So is she just trying to not ruin the surprise for, say, tonight? I don't know. I found that odd that Trish wasn't in there because so many interviews before she had mentioned Trish as a dream match for Mania. And we're hearing that match could happen, could be set up tonight possibly, who knows. And she purposely let her out. Now, we might be thinking too much into it. After tonight's off the air, we might say, no, you nailed it. But that was interesting. She left Trish out of that. She did mention Lita. Lita is there right now. Easily, you could say, going to have a WrestleMania match. If Lita's not part of this tag team turmoil right now, is what I'm calling it for the tag titles, then Lita could go against Bayley. But that was interesting when she set up her WrestleMania dream scenario. And Sasha can't happen, obviously. She was asked about Sasha Banks and ever coming back to WWE. And Bayley said straight out, man, candid as ever, no bullshit. This is where, she said, WWE is where her heart is. And then she kind of laughed and said, well, her heart meaning me, she said. She has to come back to me, she said. So Bayley and her are such good friends, like sisters almost. And so Bayley said WWE is where her heart is, and I'm holding out hope. I hope she does, and I do think there's a very good possibility she comes back. That's what Bayley said in this interview. She does think she'll be back, or at least she's definitely hoping so, and this is still where her heart is. So that's good insight. I mean, that's her best friend. Nobody would know more. And again, Naomi, I believe, is already back. They're just kind of holding her, just like an Alexa Bliss, Lacey Evans as of late as well, and a few other females. They just don't know what to do with them right now, so they're holding them off. Sucks they can't be a part of WrestleMania. Maybe they all come back the Raw after or the SmackDown after. But I believe Naomi is already just awaiting her next mission in WWE. But that was very candid. It gives you a little bit of insight into Sasha Banks and kind of the mindset, you know? Like, eventually, when I do everything that I desire and that I've wanted to do, yeah, I want to come back to WWE, or I'm going to. You know they've had discussions like that. And for her to pretty much say, yeah, no, not pretty much. She literally said, yeah, I do think good possibility she's back. And then she's like, well, that's her. WWE is where her heart is. This is her home still. It's where her heart is. And she's got to come back. She's my travel buddy anyway, she said. So that gives you a little bit insight on Sasha Banks as well. Now, the biggest thing that people are going to take out of this interview, that's all that BC got from that, man. And that was all interesting. The biggest thing that you're going to hear about is when she was talking candidly about the tag team division. And she said that's the area where she wants to see much more growth. She said it's more personal to her because her and Sasha basically started that. And it's like her baby. And it sucks that here we are years later, and there's been highs and lows. There's been ups and downs, but mostly downs, she said. That was a quote. Mostly downs. And for her to say that candidly, I mean, we the fans see that, right? Whether you call yourself reporters, journalists, critics, just a fan. We all see that every week, every show, month after month, year after year. There's no tag team division. BC says it's a non-existent division. That sounds harsh, but it doesn't matter how it sounds. It's the truth. That division is non-existent. You have a couple of teams, maybe. I don't even know if you do. Damage CTRL, maybe one other. One or two tops. Everybody else is thrown together week after week. You never know who's with who. Natty's with somebody every other week. Nikki Cross has been with 4 different tag team partners. Ronda just got thrown together with Shayna Baszler. You don't know. You don't know. Every given show, it's different. That's not a division. It's non-existent. And for Bayley to say there's been a lot of ups and downs, but mostly downs, and that has to change. That needs to see growth, and she would like to see more time, effort, and care put into that division because there's so much potential, and it's just untapped. I mean, that's nearly word for word, man. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that Bayley just went in on the tag division needing to be better, and that is so awesome coming from the person who is with the tag champs. That's Damage CTRL. Bayley's right there. You might as well say a fucking honorary, not a noose, an honorary tag holder, tag championship holder, because, I mean, that's Damage CTRL, the champions. For her to say it's been mostly downs and there's a world of improvement that needs to take place. Man, it's so good when it's not just fans saying it, right? Because you could say, oh man, nobody's ever happy and everyone's so negative. But when the wrestlers admit it and say, yeah, we agree and we're the champions, it's not validation per se. It's not a pat on the back. It's what we already knew. So you can't be that excited to hear, oh yeah, people agreed with me in the company. No, we already know. We don't need them to agree with us publicly. We just need shit to change so it gets better, all right? And that's the coolest part, to know. Not just that they know, but that they are trying to address it. Privately, publicly, it doesn't matter. They're trying to make it better. Right? That's the best part. That all of our words, or platforms like this, on these vidcasts where we go hours at a time talking about these subjects, it's cool to see the wrestlers say, no, we not just hear you, we agree, and we're trying to make it better. It's just 3H's has to fucking approve this shit. 3H's has to hear us and do something about it. We used to say it about Vince. Now it's 3H's. So now when shit's not changing or getting better, or there's no growth, or there's no care or effort, unfortunately we do have to blame H. Not saying some areas didn't get better under his guidance, no doubt. But you also have to call out the same shit that we did with Vince McMahon. And Damage CTRL is an area where that group alone needs so much fucking care and effort put into it. Because I do feel that group has been botched. And it sounds like Bayley knows that. And it's a big part of that is the tag team of Dakota and Io. And how even with titles, they could not be more irrelevant because they're champions of a non-existent division, which basically makes the titles non-existent, which makes them even more irrelevant. They're just short of non-existent. And that's a shame because those are two really good wrestlers, Dakota and Io. And to hear Bayley talk about how high she is on them and how big that moment was at SummerSlam when they came out, it was so cool. Bayley said to hear them cheer her when she came back at SummerSlam was special, but it was even more special to hear that pop when Dakota and Io came out, and that was more special for her. It gives you an insight on how such a cool person Bayley is. So, a lot to unpack on that in that interview, man. Just about Sasha and where her heart is, how Bayley thinks that there's been way more downs with the women's tag division, and that needs to change. And she said she wants to see more actual teams, more consistency. So good to hear. Talking about her WrestleMania dream matches, either Sasha or Lita, leaving out Trish. I think that was purposely. No shade at all, man. And that could actually happen, which could be a major reason why that was left out. And just Bayley talking about the formation of Damage CTRL and how she would like 2 new members. She would like a total of 5, and she does have 2 people in mind. Interesting, man. Who are those two people, Bayley? Very interesting. So that was very cool and a lot of information there. And we'll see what the plans are. I think it's going to be a lot more ironed out after tonight. We're going to see a lot more clear what Bayley's path at Mania is and what that destination looks like. All right, time out. First, BC is going to get a big swig of coffee. And then what we're going to do is talk FTR, AEW, and that whole situation. Because, damn, I don't know if that could be any messier. And then after that, we'll jump into the SmackDown rating for this past week. Sound good? Salud. Stay amplified. So, FTR recently, they won. These are literally, I think they're literally called the One Awards, are they not? What is it called? A Wrestling Observer newsletter? Right? That's Melty Boy, I believe, correct? Melty and Alvarez, I believe, anyway. I always get these things mixed up. They turned into total jokes, right? Before I got a little perturbed at some of these lists because I was like, how do you even get to this? And then they just became total jokes several years ago when they announced that Bray Wyatt was like the worst gimmick of the year. But all the stats, all the numbers, all the metrics said that he was the top guy, or at least right there in most. Some of those metrics literally number one. Merchandise for several months of that year was number one. Highest on the fucking view clicks on this platform, highest in social media buzz. Ratings were some of, if not the highest of the show. And the Fiend was like the worst gimmick. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is literally just personal preference. This is not anybody with any common sense or fucking logic into the business. I think it's just like their readers or something, which is obviously AEW heavy. And that's fine, right? There's tribalist type channels and stuff out there. A lot of people know that the audience for one leans way more AEW. We know that. So it's you can't help but laugh. I would say the same thing if it was just a WWE sided award show, you know? And everything was just WWE, you know, you can't help but laugh. Because it's such a tribalistic type of awards. It's all bullshit. So once I saw that Fiend shit, yeah, you kind of get angered by it, but you can't help but laugh. Because it's like, dude, what? Worst by whose measurements? Bray made a shit ton of money. The company made a shit ton of money off of it. And everybody was buzzing about it. It was the highest rated shit. People were getting merchandise left and right. It was one of the only things on Raw that created a buzz. I was saying time after time, like Firefly Funhouse, all of that. Give me an hour of that, I'll probably be entertained. Because those 2 to 3 minutes of the Funhouse back then, that was the only best part of the only good part of the shows. I mean, that's how bad Raw was back in the day. By back in the day, I just mean literally just a few years ago, even last year. You know, it started to pick up and find a pulse over the last several months. You know, and then you see all the work that Bray put in and everything. Worst gimmick of the, you know, and this was the same year of Retribution, I believe it was called. Do you guys remember the group that fucking, it was like something out of a video game or something. Clearly, that was the worst fucking gimmick. No. It was clearly an agenda. What was working the best, they totally they tried to trash it. So ever since then, my point is, these fucking, and I don't know if that was the One Awards or not. My point is, these bullshit tribalistic awards, you just got to laugh and move on. You can't take it too serious. You can't, because it's so fucking stupid. I mean, you just look at some of it. Like Promoter of the Year was Tony Khan. Now, I'm not saying it should be Vince or Triple H or the Danny Dipshit Guggenheimer at the local bingo hall, but it shouldn't be Tony either. The company didn't grow. His booking has been absolute dog shit since the inception of AEW. Some good fucking feuds and stories, yeah, like Wardlow and MJF, but wow, too few and far in between. I don't know how this should be a year where you literally say there was no best booker of the year because they all sucked. But all of a sudden, Tony Khan is promoter of the year. Booker of the year, too, I believe, was Tony Khan. I'm like, what are we talking about? The shit? Just put an asterisk and say nobody. Promotion of the year, AEW. Gee, shocker. At this point, you're seeing kind of like a little bit of a theme here. Promotion of the year, even though the company never grew. Literally, Rampage's ratings are in the fucking doghouse. You got fucking Dynamite, who's been lingering between the same 850 to 950, tried and true top of their niche, 850 to 950. 824 2 weeks ago, 1 million this past week with no direct competition and a special announcement. That could easily be right back to 925, 950 next week. They have not gotten over 1 million consistently the whole fucking year, just like year 1, year 2, all of year 3. No growth at all. Nothing. The revenue, Tony Khan still admits they're not making a profit yet. They were hoping for a profit by the end of year 3. We're now into year 4. AEW is yet to make actual profit, guys. And that's a whole nother video. That's a whole nother topic. It's different to make some money and to see like sales, sell out here and a sell out here and good pay-per-view. That's different than the company making revenue, making money, being in the clear. That's totally different. And at least to Khan's credit, he admits that they just still are not making money. So how the fuck are you promotion of the year? Again, if you want to put an asterisk and say there was none, that's fine. But WWE is pulling in record revenue. WWE has the hottest show in all of wrestling called SmackDown. Whether you like it or not, I hear you. But it's the best show, buzz-wise, numbers-wise, statistic-wise. Obviously, it's on Fox, so ratings-wise, obviously, it's number 1 as well. But every other metric, SmackDown is consistently the peak, even off of Fox, like platforms like this or social media buzz. If you were to add up merchandise sales, it's just true. The Bray Wyatts, the Roman Reigns, and all of them, merchandise on SmackDown way more than anything else. The point is, so because of SmackDown, WWE would be promotion of the year. I don't know how you just make this shit up. Well, BC, it's just all of the audience of this particular site. It's just them voting, BC. And I understand that. That's what makes it a tribalistic bullshit award, right? It's just, that's like asking all of the Green Bay Packer fans who number 1 for every position and team-wise was for the NFL, right? Well, they're Green Bay Packer fans. Of course, I know how I'm voting. But so we know this, right? And you just keep going down the line. Wrestler of the Year, Mox, and you know how much I praised Mox. But wow, man, the year that Roman Reigns has had, just because Mox bleeds every fucking show, just because Mox bleeds every match, does not... did you see what the fuck Roman did this year? MJF, he doesn't wrestle that much, but wrestling is just more than just the actual fucking sequences in the ring, too, don't forget. So to say wrestler of the year, are we just naming one fucking... It's weird to me. And then you see match of the year, and that's the one I believe. Match of the year is the one FTR got pissed off about. But, how is Roman Reigns and Logan Paul? Were they even in the fucking category? I don't even know. That's what I mean. It's so fucking stupid, guys. I don't even want to get that. I don't even give a fuck how to locate it. But Logan Paul and Roman Reigns literally shocked the wrestling world with how fucking great that match was. And it's just, you just see these things, you laugh because you can't do anything else. You laugh and you move on. But man, it makes you think, like, what the fuck? Like, even if you're Melty Boy and Little Alvarez, how do you even, like, with a straight face, put the list out there? Even if you had nothing to do with it. It's mind-boggling. But that's not where the fucking drama takes place, right? That's not where the situation escalates, all right? Most of us know by now it's bullshit tribalistic awards. Same thing I'd say about WWE if it was mostly heavy on them with a WWE audience. It's bullshit. So you let them fucking just vote all of their people in at number 1, right? They give a couple mulligans, like Paul Heyman, best on the mic, or so, whatever the fuck. Paul Heyman got something and maybe one other. But for WWE. But you let them have every fucking category, even though the company has not grown one iota, even though fucking the company needs so much work and the booking sucks. But we'll give them number one for everything, just because we hate WWE. So you give them that. The situation escalates when AEW themselves literally snubbed their own talent, like FTR, who won Feud of the Year. Now, you know I'm a big Briscoes fan. Jay and Mark Briscoe, way before Mark started getting some limelight, way before, unfortunately, the tragedy with Jay. I've always spoke so highly of I've always said the Usos and the Briscoes, just my favorite tag teams. They just were. I always say, like, what drew me to ROH, the original ROH, it wasn't like Rollins's and CM Punks of the past. It was actually the Briscoes, the Jay Lethals, and the Roxys. That is what drew me to ROH. Acts like that. And so I'm cool with that, man. And it's such whatever, man. Like, that's something I could be like, all right, I'm not going to roll my eyes completely. But what happened was AEW, this was a quote, AEW's social, like official social, whatever that is, sent out, and I quote, this is from AEW, congratulations to, hold on. Make sure I get that, guys. Congratulations to the 13-time and current Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, Jay and Mark Briscoe, hashtag Dem Boys, a.k.a. the baddest tag team on the planet, on being awarded WON's 2022 Feud of the Year, period. No mention of FTR at all. Now, first of all, I'm pretty sure a Feud of the Year involves another entity, right? In this case, it would be FTR, who's still under contract with Tony Khan's AEW. Now, there's no love lost there. We already know that Tony Khan does not see eye to eye with FTR, especially Dax, and Dax tells you every single day, basically, stories that he just does not see eye to eye with Tony. He feels they're in a better place now, but there was a time frame where they literally just nothing. It was just not working with them. And you see that with Tony's booking, right? I've said from all throughout 2022, I was befuddled. You could see FTR was becoming one of the best tag teams in the world. Some of you guys may say they already were, BC, and that's cool. But I'm saying, like, the momentum that they had, matches like with the Briscoes, when it wasn't even on television nationally on like AEW or a WWE, that wasn't even needed. Briscoes and FTR were the talk of the town in the wrestling world. And they had so much momentum. And what did Tony Khan do? He made sure that he did not rock with that momentum. He did not help that momentum at all. He stifled it. And there was only a handful of times throughout 2022 that you actually saw FTR wrestle tag team matches on AEW Dynamite, their flagship show. Only a handful of times. They held other titles from around the world, but Tony Khan made it a point not to put them in tag team action on Dynamite. Whenever they were used, it was usually one-on-one with Dax and somebody else, or like a 10-man tag. And the last several times that FTR had a tag team match on Dynamite, they lost. Whether it was Austin and Cole, or The Acclaimed, was it? Or was that, I forgot who it was. Maybe it was The Acclaimed. I don't know. The last couple of matches, they just lost straight out. And then they said, you know what, we need some time off. And we got to think about what we want to do in April when our contracts are up. And Tony's like, all right, we weren't using you anyway. So there was no love lost there anyway. And both sides pretty much told you that there's tension there. All right, we understand that. But you got to be pretty fucking petty if your team that's under contract still to you wins Feud of the Year. Again, whether we know it's bullshit anyway, these awards, but I mean, you're selling the fuck out of it. I mean, AEW is pumping out everything. Congratulations to Mox, Wrestler of the Year. Congratulations to our boss, CEO Tony Khan, for winning Promoter of the Year. Congratulations to our boss, Tony Khan, for winning Booker of the Year. Congratulations to AEW for winning Promotion of the Year. Congratulations to AEW for dishing out the best chicken at catering of the year. Congratulations to AEW for putting the best porta potties before every fucking night of action for our wrestlers award. Congratulations to AEW for having the best seamstress. Congratulations for AEW for having the best catering. Congratulations to AEW for having the best parking lots at every arena. Congratulations to AEW for having the best oil changes. Congratulations to AEW for having the fucking best shoes on a CEO. I don't know. They win everything. It's just a fucking AEW fucking love fest. And the FTR gets no love. I mean, Mox got a congratulations. Tony Khan, fucking Briscoes for having the feud of the year. Or was it match of the year? Feud of the year. Yeah, maybe match of the year too. They won a couple of them. FTR. And nothing. So Dax said, all right, well, if that's how it's going to be, he literally says, and I quote, he like reposts that, all of the congratulations, and he literally says, tell me April is coming up. This is Dax from FTR. Tell me April is coming up without actually telling me April is coming up. Like literally saying this was by design. They know that we're leaning elsewhere, and they purposely did not even mention us. This is a snub that we are not going to forget. And Dax doesn't forget that shit. If you've listened to anything Dax has said in the last 3 months, especially with this new podcast that he has, Dax doesn't forget that shit. And it really alters into his next decision on what he's going to do in the future career-wise. Like where him and Cash, what they're going to talk about and where they're going to head. And he made a few more posts too, just about being snubbed by Tony Khan's AEW, and this led some fans literally, a lot of fans actually, there's backlash. Oh no, you're not turning your back on AEW. How dare you? But you just loved FTR. You fucking throttled everything they did all year. Now that he's not happy with his boss because his boss was being a fucking idiot and literally just didn't even acknowledge their award. Now all of a sudden you guys are going to turn your back on FTR? So this made Dax then. Dax had to fucking send out another response to that. Dax says, and I quote, guys, real quick. And it's a picture of him and his wife and his kid eating breakfast like outside a little fucking little dining establishment. And Dax says, guys, real quick, I'm the happiest I've ever been. The he's unhappy narrative that's been painted of me because I stand up for myself has always made me laugh, but today even more. I'm very appreciative of what all of you have given me and my fam. Stress is down. Life is good. End quote. So he's trying to tell everyone, relax. He's not bitter. He's still under contract with AEW. He's just, as he says in that message, he's just standing up for himself. That's all. And he thinks it was a snub, and he acknowledged the snub. So everyone's saying, oh, you're just bitter, and oh, now you're just going to turn your back on AEW and Tony Khan. No, it looks like they are first. So now April is the big decision, right? I think it's pretty clear. I mean, even if it's close, I think it's 51-49 in favor of WWE at this point, right? I mean, I don't know how you mend this. And the fact that they're so tight with Punk and taking his side on the brawl out, it's being called, brawl out media scrum. The fact that they're always sticking up for Punk and always taking his side and always trying to look at it from that manner obviously is pissing off the Young Bucks. And we know Dax has talked about dissension with them in the Bucks. Well, that's not going to help. The Bucks, Omega, butting heads with Chris Jericho in the past. And now the feud with Tony Khan looks to be reheated. I mean, they're ruffling a lot of fucking feathers. They might as well call themselves fucking CMFTR at this point. FTR Punk. I don't know, because they're ruffling as many feathers as Phil Brooks once ruffled in that same locker room. I just don't see how that's going to work out. And you got to believe that maybe under Paul 3H's Levesque, maybe they have a much better shot at being something in WWE than what AEW is giving them. My point is this, guys. If for those that say, nah, basically, fuck, they were getting their back shaved in WWE, BC. I know, but Paul 3H's Levesque may book them better. I mean, you got to believe that. How much better, we don't know. 20%, 80%? But for those that say they're going to be way better off in AEW. But how do you figure? This past year, no doubt, they had matches with Briscoes, which put them on a whole nother level. But unfortunately, the Briscoes are no more, man, as a tag team. Sadly, and that sucks, but you're not going to have that to fall back on. You know, you already went through your year where you won titles elsewhere. You're not going to be able to duplicate that. You can try. You can go and win titles everywhere. It's not going to be the same vibe and feel. How special it was last year. So you're not going to be able to recreate that. So you literally have to be something massive on AEW television. The flagship show is Dynamite, and we've already seen Tony Khan does not have the time of day for FTR on Dynamite. We already saw that. So how much better are they truly going to be booked in AEW? The Young Bucks and them have too much tension. Tony Khan, the fucking CEO, the boss of AEW, has too much tension with FTR and vice versa. And the locker room leader, Chris Jericho, right now, not seeing eye to eye with FTR. How far do you think they're going to be pushed? We see people that have all the momentum in the world absolutely get fucking destroyed for no reason. Tony Khan just sees them getting momentum and fucking shoves them off the highway. Wardlow comes to mind. I mean, 4 different times he could have been something massive, and Tony Khan makes it a point right when he's getting red hot, white hot. Tony Khan's like, man, we got to put out that fire. What are you doing? Puts him on fucking Rampage and sits him home for a few months. Then he comes back. And we see this process with Wardlow nonstop to the point where I can't even believe in Wardlow anymore. FTR, all the momentum in the world. We got to fucking cool it off. We got to sit him at home. What? Go wrestle elsewhere. You can wrestle for my ROH promotion. I don't understand it. So that situation with FTR and AEW just gets more bizarre, and it just gets more heated and more volatile, and there's more tension by the fucking week, by the day, and I just feel that FTR eventually is going to have to say, what the fuck are we doing? Dax has already talked about it. He's only got a couple of good years fucking actually in the ring left. I mean, do you just get that he's a big family guy? So does he just get a ton of fucking money from Vince McMahon's company, let fucking Paul 3H's Levesque work with them, and just fucking, could it be that much fucking worse than not working at all on Wednesday nights? Because that's what we're at. Very interesting development there with FTR. The tag team of the year is what they won as well, by the way. And up front, now maybe since all this turmoil came out and FTR expressed their frustrations, maybe AEW has finally fucking congratulated them. I don't know. It'd look weird if it was 24 hours later, but they also won tag team of the year, guys. FTR was number 1 on this bullshit awards. My boys, the Briscoes, number 2. Young Bucks were 3. Shocker. Usos were all the way down at 4. And the Acclaimed right there at 5. The Usos are with the Acclaimed. The Acclaimed started getting fucking hot second year of 2022. And then it progressed. Usos, whether you love it or not, whether you think the tag team division in WWE sucks or not, because it does. It doesn't matter when it comes down to their actual matches and what they meant to the company and what they did for the titles and how long they've held them. Usos were fucking absolutely dynamite, if I can use the pun there. They were dynamite all year. Whether it's a match I don't never need to see again because I've seen it 1,000 times. With the New Day, a couple of times they rocked the house with them, no doubt. Street Profits and the Usos had a couple of really good fucking matchups. What they did with Roman Reigns, switching it up, and having the whether it's triple threats or Jimmy had to work with fucking Solo or Roman or vice versa or Jay work, and I mean they rocked it down for an entire year and had some really good matchups. And I just think about the Young Bucks. They should be something way more special in AEW. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega have been fucking botched just like Cody Rhodes. The EVPs actually did more damage to them than anything. I wish that Young Bucks, maybe not a wish. I mean, I wouldn't waste a wish on professional wrestling. But Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Cody Rhodes, When they started AEW, it would have been nice if they had no fucking title like that. And I bet you would have seen way better booking for Cody even. But for Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, you put them at number 3 of the best tag teams of the year. Should they be? Most likely. Could they be? No doubt. Should they have been? No. Like from what we saw with their booking this past year, definitely not. You put on some good matches, okay. Very few and far in between. They're another team that it's so inconsistent when they're used. And then they just pop up as the number 3 best fucking tag team, and the Usos are playing around with the Acclaimed. Stop it, man. Again, it's bullshit. I don't even look at these. I wouldn't have even gave this a second look if it wasn't for the FTR situation. And everybody's like, oh, BC, man, you got to talk about that, man. FTR is pissed now. And I'm like, well, they're always pissed at AEW and Tony Khan. But when I saw, and this is one of those lists where it's just AEW, WWE, AEW. And you're like, well, BC, I mean, they're that much better. They're not, though. They're not. You like it. That's fine. That doesn't make it better. There's no growth in AEW's audience. There's none. In fact, huge drop some weeks. Some weeks they're losing over 150, nearly 200,000 viewers. They were at 824 just 2 weeks ago. Back over 1 million with the special announcement. No competition at all. Not even in an NBA game. Even the MTV Challenges season was over. They had nothing, and they just squeaked over 1 million with 28,000. Good for them. But patterns have shown you, I mean, that's going to dip once again. And it's like, why is that? Because it's not good. But when you have tribalistic award shows like this, and I would say the same about WWE, I'm as fair as you're going to get, guys. I would laugh at that too and call it a bullshit list on a bullshit fucking site, bullshit awards. And people get too worked up on it. And FTR in this situation, to their credit, they didn't get worked up on the list. Obviously, they were winning shit. They got pissed off because their own promoter didn't even acknowledge them, didn't even mention them when they were literally a part of that feud, by the way. You have to have... And that was pretty fucking deliberate. Or they're just that stupid. I doubt that very much. It was deliberate. They have to know something. I think they know that FTR is swinging a little bit more WWE, and they're going to try to literally fuck with them, almost like what they're doing with Ali and WWE. You want to be released? Tough shit. Now go out there and lose. You know what I mean? It's sit at home, and we're just going to stop even fucking mentioning it. I don't know. But, I'd be pretty upset if I wasn't even, I mean, let us make the decision. Who's to say? Maybe we come right back. You know, if there's turmoil, like, let's try to reconcile, right? Maybe you can get us back. We're clearly a really good tag team that people do like. Wouldn't you like to have us with? No, let's just fucking add fuel to the fire. Odd. So that I'll leave it at that, man, and I'm not going to speak any more on the bullshit awards, guys. Basically, what did you think about this category? I don't even care. I don't know the fucking cat. I don't want to know. I have no fucking time for that type of stupidity, guys. Literally, no time for that shit. The extra time that I do have, this is my hobby right here. Talking to my amp unit, getting this vid out to you guys, and then we just have to go out into the world, whoop ass. Real quick, the SmackDown rating for this week, I'll end it on that. They have been consistently around 2.4 to 2.5 every single week. The upfront nationals on it was over a 2.3. The adjustment looks to be 2.43. Now, Brandon Thurston has it at from WrestleNomics. He's a big numbers guy too. I like to bounce around what he believes in his WrestleNomics crew. He thinks the adjustment is going to put them at 2. So they pulled a 2.3 up front. He thinks the adjustment will take them to a 2.43, so 2,430,000. I have it at a 2.405 is what I came up with. So I have them just getting over 2.4, but he absolutely could be right. He has a few metrics that he could tap into that I don't have. But trend-wise, I see them just going over 2.4. But I do have them roughly at a 2.4 for this week's SmackDown when it's all said and done. We'll find that out later today. And if that is absolutely what the deal is, and it's a 2-4, guys, that puts them consistently right where they've been. This is what I mean about SmackDown is just the best show. It's not that they're the best rated. I mean, it is Fox. I get it. But it's the most consistent. And it's the only show you're going to find where a lot of the weeks, the rating goes up as you go later into the show. And at the main event, you have a bigger audience than when you started. That rarely happens in professional wrestling shows, guys. Never, almost. Right? That makes no sense. Never, almost? Well, never. For the most part. I'll contradict a little bit there, man. It rarely happens to the 9th degree. That's the best way to put it. You don't see the end segment more than the first segment. I mean, it just doesn't happen. It's very rare, like a blue moon. And when it does, it's the blue brand over in WWE SmackDown. They just go up and they stay consistent. It's what I've been asking Raw to do for years, right? Raw, you'll see at a fucking 1.9, then it'll be at a 1.6. It'll be at a 2 million, then it'll somehow go to 1.7. It's so up and down. AEW's even fucking worse because they only have 950 up front. Sometimes that drops near 800,000. Sometimes they pull a fucking million. Very rare, like a blue moon, but it's just so up and down how fast they can lose a quarter of their audience. So I've been asking Raw to stay consistent, AEW, and they just don't know the term. They don't know the meaning of the word. SmackDown, consistent, smooth sailing, and that is the biggest sign of a good show. So I don't know if that shocks you, that this week's show, that wasn't that heavy hitting with the big news. There wasn't that many huge segments. But it pulled that consistent 2.4 and tells you that storylines thrive. That last half an hour of SmackDown was just so special. Dominic and Rey really electrifying their own storyline. That's been pretty stale for 2 months by design. They wanted it at Mania. They started it way too early. Rumble, you got Rhea Ripley gaining some fucking leverage. Judgment Day has these other matchups going on with Beth and Edge, and you don't know. Dominic is kind of being pulled elsewhere, and Ray's got his separate shit with like Karrion Kross, for instance. So now with 5 weeks left before Mania, they're really telling that story tenfold again. And what we saw Friday night was so special, and that led into the biggest storyline in pro wrestling right now, the Bloodline and Sami Zayn. And we saw what happened special there with Jay, Jimmy, and Sami, and ended up being also Solo. And that was without Roman Reigns, and you had that awesome story still continue to evolve. So back to back with the Rey and Dominic, really good storytelling segment. That last half an hour of SmackDown really helped that show as a whole. Other than that, not that impactful. And still pulled 2-4. That's just a good show. That's a show that people actually want to tune into every week. I don't know how much they need to, which is what I always ask from a show. Make your audience need to tune in, not just want. I don't know how much they need to, but it's good enough to where they're like, yep, Friday night, I know exactly what I want to do right now. If I want to just chill inside, it's cold out, I'm going to get a coffee, and I'm going to watch some SmackDown, man. You know? Whereas with Raw, Monday Night Raw for years, it was so bad for so long that it was out of habit and hope, right? Habit, because we've been doing it since we were kids, watching Monday Night Raw on a Monday. It's what we do out of habit, right? And hoping that the show is actually going to be good maybe for a change. For SmackDown, we don't need to tune in out of habit. No, we're hoping to be entertained, yeah. But we believe it's going to be a good show because it doesn't give us reason to believe it's not going to be. And that's why you get a consistent 2-4 for the most part for months now. And there was a time you were fucking around 2 mil, 2-1, 2-2. You know what I mean? And you were like, damn, I'm sure they would like to see that more closer to 2.5. Well, now with some good storytelling, as we get closer to Mania, we're fucking around with that 2.5 again. Pretty cool. When John Cena came back, he pulled over 2.6. The show itself was over 2.5. Pretty fucking special. All right? I mean, there's reasons for that, right? People say, oh, the casual fans are no longer in WWE or pro wrestling, right? Phil Brooks said that there is no casual fans anymore, BC. Well, Phil Brooks doesn't know what he's talking about, man. I have to tell you. Eric Bischoff is right in this case because Eric and him always had that different philosophy. Eric's like, there's so many casuals out there. You just got to get them. The evidence, the facts tell us that casuals are out there. Look at the ratings go up when there's an announcement. Look at the ratings go up when there's a big return or a special themed show like Raw 30th anniversary. Look at the ratings with 30th anniversary and look at the ratings before and after. Tells you everything you need to know. When there is a massive game on, right? I don't use these as excuses and I don't give mulligans because I still believe you should be putting on a comparable product that is going to smash the NFL or the NBA right back. Maybe they're going to hit you harder, but you got to smash back. So I don't give mulligans, and I'm not going to use this as an excuse. But yeah, when there's a big game or a big holiday, of course it dings up a rating, right? You see that. And a lot of time that's more of the casual fan that can kind of miss the wrestling and they're not going to they don't care. Casual fans are absolutely out there. By the droves, by the thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, actually. You see that around Mania season. So they're there. Like Eric Bischoff says, you just gotta you gotta get them, get there. You gotta captivate, right? And they've lost that spark. They lost the confidence in Monday Night Raw, and you can say the same about Wednesday nights as well for AEW. But for SmackDown, they have gained their audience's trust that show is going to be good consistently. And that's why you get the consistent number. Anyway, that's some numbers talk. I want to put you to fucking sleep here. We're supposed to be fucking amplified. I'm taking you in a math class. Bayley, you're bringing me back to like high school days, man. Stop with the numbers. Guys, my amp unit. Rock out the rest of this Monday. Hopefully Raw delivers. BC's going to be with you with all of the fucking whatever happens tonight. All the fucking hoopla. BC's going to have a full Monday Night Raw review in the next 24 hours. Don't be shocked if there's another vid today. This could be a double vid Monday, actually. There's a few hours I'm going to have a little bit later have opened up, thankfully. So I'm going to have a little bit of time. Maybe I can drop another vid off to you guys. Maybe live. I don't know about that, but something maybe later. So obviously stay subbed and notified. That should be done anyway. Smash that up on the way out if you don't mind. Help out the algorithm. I truly appreciate it. And whether there's another vid today or not, Raw review within the next 24 hours. We're going to rock it, man. Because this is a big one tonight. This is the official road to WrestleMania, man. There's no more Elimination Chambers, Royal Rumbles. It's Mania, and everything has to make sense here. Bray Wyatt and Lashley, tell me why we should care. Make it make sense. Omos and Brock Lesnar, make it make sense. Why? What is happening with Damage CTRL and Lita and Becky? And is there going to be a Trish? Why is Ronda coming to the Raw brand? Make it all make sense tonight and for Mania, and so much more. It all needs to be dropped hot tonight. And we're going to break it all down in the review. Till then, top guy, I'm out. BC saying check you. Think, be, live, amped. Always. Check you.